Hello, we're going to start our day off by doing a pre-sold order with our DSD solution Omnitech Sales. And to get this going, we're going to go in here and we're going to service this account. And this is the pita pit. And the first way we're going to look at this is we're assuming that we've got a build to situation where we're actually looking at the shelf and trying to capture some inventory to give us some advice and some indication of what we should actually sell to this customer. So to start off with this, I could look at this and see, all right, here's my build to quantity. So I have an idea of what I need to put on this shelf. So I could do this a couple ways. I could actually take the inventory and capture that inventory and then calculate what the sale quantity is. I'm actually just going to use it as a guidance today. So I'm going to go directly over to this quantity column and I can see that's highlighted and I can populate this a couple of different ways. I'm using a touchscreen laptop to display this in our device agnostic solution. So if I click on this little plus button here, I'm going to increase the quantity that I'm going to sell. And I could do this pretty slowly here to kind of show what we want to sell on here. I could also, if I move my mouse over here, I can just tap on the screen to mimic what you do, probably a little bit more realistic on a tablet in the field. Or I could go through here and I can actually just click on there and say, I want to sell 8 of that. For those, let's say 15 of this. And I can see I've just created a roughly $2,100 order for the pita pit. And that's one way of doing this. Now, I've got a couple of things going on my screen right now. I can see these little warnings over here and I can highlight this and say, well, what's the warning? And it tells me, hey, my host inventory is below the threshold. It happens to be that the host inventory is 0 for this item, but it's not alerting me on how I'm out of stock. It's alerting me that my inventory is below that threshold of 200. So it matters when you get down to that low stock scenario, and different items have different levels that you would define low. It's a relative term. Maybe it's a long lead time item, maybe it's a slow producer, maybe it's something that's brought in. But in this case, we've defined concern threshold at 200. I'm below that, so I want to make sure that my pre-sales rep out in the field knows that I have a limited inventory scenario, and maybe I'm going to shift that sale towards something that's easier to sell or something within my portfolio that I favor. And that's my first alert on this screen. I could also go to another one on here and say, well, what's this one? And I can see my warning and say, well, this one I've got a couple of different alerts on here. The item does not meet the quantity threshold, so I've got a minimum order quantity of 10, and I've only sold 5. It's also warning me that this item is a lead time of 2 days. So a couple of different ways that we can try to help that pre-sale rep out in the field make sure that they're being effective and efficient and they're not creating any false expectations. So let's say, okay, we're fine with that. I could look at these ones and this is going to be a similar scenario where I've got a combo of my threshold as well as my host inventory. So a couple of different ways that I can make them aware of that sort of situation, say what have I done on here. So if that's all I needed to do, I've got these 5 items on here, I've sold the product and life is good. So I could go up here and I could say finalize my order. And it's going, oh, well, I got a warning saying, hey, I've also got items that are eligible for promotion. So let's have a look at those. And I can see on my 5-line order, I actually have 4 items that are eligible for promotion. So let's have a look at this guy here and say, well, what's my promotion alert? It says, hey, if I order 56 more eaches of this item, I'm going to get 10% off. And this shows what I love and hate about upsell techniques. A dumb technique is just saying, hey, you've got a quantity buy available. I just have to sell 56 more and I get that deal. Well, if I look at this line, I've sold 4. Do I really think that I can take that sale quantity of 4 and make that 60? Probably not. If I could have, I would have sold far more than that at the beginning. So what does HighJump do to get around that? We have what I call smart alerts. We have a threshold qualification ability here. So you can say, all right, if I have a promo at 100 cases, I need to sell 85% of that buy quantity before I get the sell alert. And in that case, all right, I've got 100 buy-in quantity, I sell 88, it pops up, says, hey, sell 12 more and you get the free t-shirt, or you get 10% off, or you get $1 off a case, or whatever that may be. In this scenario where we don't have that turned on, I've got a 5-line order and I've got 4 alerts. It becomes spam very quickly, so you don't really want that. You want these things to be proactively driving sales. You don't want it to be wasting people's time. So if this was a simple sales scenario, all I'm doing was this is, okay, I've sold these 5 lines. Here's my $2,100 order. Yay for me. Let's go ahead and finalize that order. It's going to tell me this. I don't need to look at that. I'll say, no, okay, that's fine. Comes in here and look, well, have a look at that. My $2,100 order actually is now $2,077. What happened? Well, that first line did qualify for promotion. So I've taken $2.39 off the unit cost, and that extends out to roughly $20.75. So if I was going to manually change, if I had security and permission to do this, I could look at any of these other lines and say, well, $47.88, and I see these little green and red arrows up and down. Well, this is giving me an indication that I have the ability to override that price. And when I tap on that, I can see, well, I can go as low as $38.30, so I got margin protection at the bottom end. I can go as high as $67.03, so I have gouge protection on the top end to make sure that I go through and get this product sold in a scenario that I'm happy with as the owner of this operation. So I've configured it to work that way. I'm not going to do any price overrides. I'm going to do this as a very simple order. I'm going to post this guy right here. It says, do you wish to continue? I say yes. I'm going to put a scribbly little signature on there. I'll try to explain what that said. Let's say today, Joe is my name. I now have a order number in the top left, transaction date, an amount, a scribbly signature, and an explanation of what that is. I can continue with that. I've now created an order confirmation. I can send that to the customer by email, or I could just hit continue, or printing this. Go ahead, I've completed that order. I've now serviced that stop in one particular way. Well, let's show another way of selling to this customer. Let's go back to that P2P. Let's create a new order. So this time I'm going to create an order, and it's going to be a blank order. So I'm going to go in here and say, well, how can I sell this? I've got the 5 items in my route book over on the left-hand side. These are the items that this customer has historically purchased. I could sell a few of these. Go ahead and click on this, get a couple of those order lines on there. Let's pump this up a little bit more. A couple of these, one of those. And now I've created a $600 order. Life is good with this. Okay, I can proceed. But is that everything? I've kind of done this shooting from the hip through sales magic. I didn't use any information. I didn't look at a build to. I didn't do anything like that. So what are some of the tools that are available to me? Well, first off, let's look at the bottom and say, what can I see? Well, I can see that for this item, my what's your quest, I can see I've got stock on the truck if I'm doing this. I can also see the promotions that are available. That's interesting information to tell me that there's promos available. Maybe I want to see what's my sales history? What did I sell them the last visits? And maybe I want to know, well, what does that item look like? Which one is it that I'm actually selling? Well, I can put that thumbnail image up there that gives me a quick sales pitch on what the item is. I can see the sales history on the last visits, and I've got ordered, inventory, and delivered quantities on there. It looks like this customer is normally serviced with a van sales scenario where they're just delivering product and selling off the truck. Gives me some information on there. But maybe I want to look at more. Maybe I want to see my sales history rolled up by week. Maybe I want to see some pricing information on that item. Maybe that will help me drive sales. You can see as I click on this, these tabs are configurable by the user. I can go through and see what the warehouse inventory is. Maybe it's static item information, like if I sell it in eaches, what the UPC is, those sort of things. I have different information available to me that I can take advantage of. Or if I decide not, this is good. This is all I need to do. And maybe I'm a sales magic guy and say, you know what, I don't need any of that. So I minimize that back down and say, okay, well, this order is good. But my customer then says, I want something else. I don't want the usual product. Well, this is a great situation. How am I going to sell that? I could go up here and say, well, I can search for the different things and find going through all my portfolio and scrolling through that and searching with that. Or I could say, you know what, maybe I can get a little information from that customer and say, what are you looking for? And I can see I've got 12 packs, I've got 6 packs, I've got kegs. I've got categories of items. And maybe he's looking for glasses. So I could go in here and add to the miscellaneous product on here. And maybe I also go in here and say he wants a keg, and I can add an item for a keg as well. So I have different ways of adding products that they haven't historically purchased. Well, with the good news that they wanted more product, they may also want to say, you know what, I need to return some product too. So in that case, I can go over here and I can, maybe I'll go back to my all on here and show everything. I can go over to my returns and return items as well. Maybe there is something that's damaged or expired. I could choose that and do a return for an item and get a couple of those. Maybe I'm deciding, I'm gonna give them some free goods. So I can choose through the samples tab, and I can choose the free goods to give them because maybe they're going to try something new. And then my last way of selling that's going through and helping is I always describe this as kind of like showroom selling. When you're actually handing your tab or your phone over to the customer and saying, what would you like to look at? What would you like to do? And I can see the catalog images of these different items along with my sales pitch, and I can say, well, I'm going to increase the sales quantity of that. And I could go along as I'm doing this and see the different products and the different images and adjust that sale quantity as I go along. So a couple of different ways of doing sales on here. Let's finalize this order. And it warns me I've got promotions. Yes, I know. I'm not going to look at those today. I'm going to go through here. I can see I've got an $1,100 order, or $1,150, let's call it. I can look at the different return tabs, sample tabs, see the samples. It's free, so there's no dollar value there. And I can say I'm happy with this. Let's post my order. Gives me an "Are you sure?" I say yes. Scribble on here. Put my name as Joe. Post these orders, and notice there's 3 orders here. Well, this time I've done a sale, I've done a return, and I've done free goods. So I have different logic to break up that order a couple of different ways. And now I can see, as I continue, the different order confirmations for the different rules that those items have been split. I've now serviced the pita pit a couple of different ways. I say, this is good. Let's finish my stop. Well, it warns me, it says, oops, I've got incomplete surveys. Well, let's go have a look at our survey tab. And I can go in here, I can see the different surveys that I have that I might want to do. Maybe I have a customer satisfaction that I want to do. Well, is the manager available? Yes or no. I can choose what that is. I say no. Do I want to thank them for this? Yes, of course I did. I finished this. I service complete that survey for the service. I can now finish the stop. Warns me that there's incomplete surveys, but they're not required. So I can go ahead and say, yeah, I'm not going to do the optionals. Say yes. I've got the green check mark for servicing the pita pit. I can then go ahead and do an additional service as I go along here. Let's say we want to go into, say, Pizza Delight. And I can go in and see Pizza Delight, and I can do different things. Maybe before I go in there, I might want to look at my item catalog and go through and scroll and look at a couple different items on this. Or maybe I don't know where Pizza Delight is, and maybe I want to go in here and I want to look at the map. It will drop a pin on that map. The map that launches is the default mapping application of your device, so Google Maps, Apple Maps, maybe you set it to something like a Waze. I can click on here and hit directions, and I'll get turn-by-turn directions, and it will direct me to get to the Pizza Delight store that I'm going to go service next. So let's say I drive there and I get there and I say, oh, well, Pizza Delight doesn't need any product. So let's finish my stop, and it will go out here and give me the little green check mark on as I go along here and say I've now serviced for real a pita pit stop, as well as done a kind of a failed service with Pizza Delight. My next one on the list is a St. Louis Bar and Grill, and when I come in here, it warns me, hey, I'm over the credit limit. So I might want to go in here, ask them saying, hey, can I collect the money that you owe? Yes or no? Well, let's say no, they're not going to provide that. Do I want to create a no sale? Yes, I do. They were unwilling to do this, or maybe the store was closed, truck problems. You can define whatever the reason is. In this case, they didn't authorize the payment. Let's do my little scribbly signature on here. I hit continue, and I've just created a no sale. Maybe I email that to the customer reminder saying, hey, sorry, I can't deliver product without the money. We go ahead, and now I've serviced 3 different stops, and I can proceed with any additional ones. I can look at my route review. I could go out and say, you know what, maybe what I really want to see is I want to look at my targets to see how I'm progressing to my goals for Q2 and see I have a monthly goal. Well, I'm on it for my dollars. Actually, I've exceeded it quite a bit, but I'm coming up short on cases. So these fictional goals, I need to revise those a little bit and see what I need to get to accomplish what I'm looking to. Maybe I want to look at my route review, which is an interactive dashboard that will show me all the different orders that I've done and what I've completed on here throughout the day. So I could go in, I see I've got a couple different orders. I could look and I can slice and dice this by account, by category, by item. Maybe I need sales, maybe I need net sales of returns. I can look at this a couple of different ways. At the end, I say, yes, I'm happy with this, yay for me, and I complete my transaction, and you've just walked through a couple of pre-sales transactions with me on the HighJump OmniTech sales solution. Thank you.